Today we're meeting in Geneva for the first time with the new advisory committee, which will accompany what is now the disaster displacement platform, which picks up from where the Nansen initiative had left off, namely the challenge of strengthening protection for people displaced by disasters and climate change across borders, and also to look at addressing some of the risks that could reduce the number and also the scale of displacement arising from natural disasters.
Forced displacement related to disasters and the effects of climate change is already a reality and among the biggest humanitarian challenges that states and the international community are facing in the 21st century.
Today, I'm really thrilled that we're having this very fruitful discussion about disaster displacement, because it's a real issue for Pacific Island countries. For example, in Tuvalu, which is a low-lying atoll country near the equator, over 50% of the population of the country were displaced as a result of storm surge associated with an intense tropical cyclone.
Disaster displacement refers to people that are obliged or forced to flee in the context of a disaster caused by a natural hazard, such as an earthquake, a hurricane, or a tropical storm.
The vast majority of refugees are in the climate hotspots of the world. We know that violent conflict often has also environmental degradation and climate change related events as part of the process that leads then to violence and conflict. So we need to address urgently both.
Disaster displacement is an interdisciplinary issue, and therefore we are happy that the advisory committee is actually composed of a very interdisciplinary group of people.
Energy that we all bring together, the experts, the states, the agencies, all people are here together to move into a next phase, and this phase is about action.
Good morning, my name is Espen Ronneberg. I'm Climate Change Advisor at the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program based in Samoa in the Pacific.
I'm Ari Vola from Madagascar Mission.
I come from Egypt, and I'm the General Coordinator of the Arab Network for Environment and Development.
I work at the Alaska Institute for Justice, and my focus has been on the policy and normative gaps in regard to planned relocation.
My name is Kanta Kumari, and I'm from the Climate Policy Team at the World Bank.
Very often, migration policies remain disconnected from the empirical realities. I think one of the great strengths of this process is that it is so connected with research and with the realities on the ground.
This is the challenge. This is not only for the coastal people in the whole over the world and Bangladesh. This is the whole challenge for the humanity too. To minimize the climate impact, it will take more 100 years. It means there will be more cyclones, more droughts, and more slow and rapid onset disasters.
People displaced in the context of disasters and adverse effects of climate change are not refugees as defined by international law. That's why when they have to flee across a border, their status is very unclear. This is a gap, and it's a gap that needs to be addressed.
My expectations are that the committee, which is very sensitive and looking at human rights, will take into consideration the gender dimension, the disparities and inequalities that exist in society and which is reflected in any kind of displacement and migration.
There's a lot of work to be done, but the encouraging sign is that the ideas that are coming forward in a meeting like this as to how we should go about solving those issues of disaster displacement.
I think first of all we need to recognize that we need states to be alerted to both the threat that is posed by disaster displacement, secondly to also familiarize themselves with measures they can take to reduce these risks, and thirdly to use the international platforms that are available to us through the United Nations at large, but also particular functions that it plays, to be able to work in coordination, in cooperation and in solidarity with one another, because in the absence of that we will have a political vacuum and we will also have a humanitarian disaster that is compounded by the extreme developments that could arise from some of these natural disasters and developments.